Mic check, mic check, mic check. Hey there, folks. I'm Meteorologist Matt Barrentine. We are keeping a close eye on the tropics. Obviously, we got a lot happening down there with multiple issues, not one, not two, but possibly three systems. We're going to start off with what's potential tropical cyclone number one. See there on the other side of the screen. Potential tropical cyclone number one. So the Hurricane Center came up with that potential tropical cyclone nomenclature a couple of years ago, basically just to get out ahead of a system. Because right now, this is not a tropical, fully formed tropical system. It is very broad. It is very messy. It has not come together, and it may not. And we're keeping an eye on some of the modeling. It's going to be pretty sloppy. If it does come together, it's going to be like right before it makes landfall in northeastern Mexico. So this is a very broad, very sloppy-looking system. It is not a full-fledged tropical system. That said, it doesn't really matter. It's going to do the same exact thing as if it became a named storm, if it became Alberto. And whether it stays PTC number one or Alberto, it's going to do the same exact thing. It's going to bring a lot of heavy rain, particularly to parts of south and central Texas. The Texas coastline is going to get a lot of rain, from 5 to maybe 10 inches of rain in spots. So they're going to get a pretty heavy soaking regardless of what we call this thing. So just something to be aware of with potential tropical cyclone number one. Winds of 40 miles an hour. Now those winds, the 40-mile-per-hour winds, are not around that center. The center is almost dead calm that you see in the middle of the Bay of Campeche, where we do, let me get my little arrow up here for you, where we are seeing really strong winds is right through here, about 200 miles north of the center. That's what I'm talking about. This is not a tropical system has to get tightly wound around the area of low pressure. But the low is here. All the storminess is about 200 miles to the north of it. But that storminess is going to end up in central Texas. So actually, Texas will actually end up getting the worst of all this. And there's actually some rain as well in parts of South Louisiana. And even a few will break off and come into our area. But once again, these are the very outer remnants of the thing. It's not like we're getting a direct impact here from the system. So here's the actual path. And once again, the path really is not very interesting to me because it doesn't really mean much. Where the center comes in here in northeastern Mexico, that's not where the worst weather is going to be. The worst weather is going to be up here around Corpus Christi, Texas. Okay? 200 miles north of where that center comes in, because once again, this is not a well-defined tropical system. Now, the Hurricane Center still cranks it up to tropical storm strength. I bet they'll give it a name because that's what they tend to do. So it probably will become Tropical Storm Alberto, but I never anticipate this thing being anything of real interest here for us. Let's see. I think actually I'm on the wrong one here. I need to pull into another slot here. There we go. This is what I want to pull up here. I'll get to the radar in a minute. First, I want to talk about the rest of the tropics because there's two other issues out there. And these two other issues that we're looking at here, let me get my arrow back up here for you. This one here, it looks like, oh, we're just talking about that. No, this is actually another system that's going to come like dead behind potential tropical cyclone number one that will form over the weekend. So this is a whole other system. You see 0 to 20%. Okay, the potential tropical cyclone is already formed, so we're not talking about that here. This is another one. I'll show you that in the modeling in a second. And then we got this one out here in the Atlantic. This one you'll see in the modeling, not going to do much. I'm really not concerned with that one at all. It's just going to be a bit of a rainmaker for the East Coast. So let's get into that. So we'll talk about that, show you what I'm talking about here on the Futurecast. First off, potential tropical cyclone number one, gosh, it's a mouthful to say, or Tropical Storm Alberta, whatever it is, making landfall in northeast Texas Thursday morning, it looks like. That's when it'll make landfall. Once again, a lot of the heavy rain will be in Texas. And then you look over to the Atlantic and you'll see that other tropical possibility. Now, it looks ragged. It's dealing with really bad conditions in the upper levels. So I don't anticipate that one will develop at all. I don't think it'll become a tropical depression. Just a bit of rain for parts of Florida, the east coast of Georgia, and South Carolina. That's it. That's all that's going to do. Not concerned with that one at all. Now we get to the weekend. This is Saturday at around noon, and look, back down the Bay of Campeche. Another tropical possibility going on down there. Let me get my arrow here. This one here. So this is not the one we were just talking about, not potential tropical cyclone number one, not the one that could become Alberta. This is a whole new circulation. So what's happening, and we see this sometimes early in the season, there is a broad flow around Central America and Mexico. We call this the South American gyre. It's just a broad area of low pressure. And sometimes it can spin off multiple issues, and that's what this one has done. So that's what we're seeing again. Another one likely develop, another spin, I'll just say likely developing down here over the weekend. So this is a new one. And look where it ends up going. Guess what? Follows the same exact path because the steering currents really haven't changed. And it looks very similar. In other words, a big, broad, sloppy low that's not looking very, very healthy as the tropical system goes. And it makes its way into South Texas and northern Mexico early next week. So the same spots dealing with another rainmaker. Now for them, it's going to stink because they get 5 to 10 inches from this original one, and then they could easily get several more inches out of this one next week. So they could certainly have some flooding issues and be dealing with some problems. But once again, not impacting us. We're going to get some rain off and on, but it won't be anything directly from the tropics here over the next several days. How it does impact us, and this is really important, is at our beaches with the rip current risk. It is going to be nasty at our beaches in the surf the next several days. The Gulf of Mexico it's a big bathtub. And even if a storm is way down the Bay of Campeche, as far as away as it can get in the Gulf from us, does not matter. It'll shake up the whole bathtub. The whole Gulf of Mexico will get rough. So that's what we're looking at. High rip current risk. Checking all the beach flags. I believe every single one of our beaches now is flying double reds. Hopefully you remember the system. Let me actually get to it. Let me pop this up here for you. Especially if you're just checking us out, you're visiting or something like that. This is something you got to know. So green is obviously good. Yellow is caution. Red, this is where it gets confusing. I've never liked this about the flag system. There's reds, and then there's single reds, and then there's double red flags. Confusing. My thing is, if it's red flags at all, single reds, you don't need to be getting in the water. I mean, unless you're a surfer and you're somebody who's out there all the time surfing or something like that, that's about the only excuse to get on the single red flags. You're just a regular Joe, got your kids out there, don't let them get in there with the red flag, even a single red, okay? Too dangerous. There's a reason why those flags are put up. This week we got the double red flags up at most of our beaches. Double reds means the waters are closed. Technically you can get a ticket. They really try not to do that unless you're being really stupid. They go out and they give you warnings and tell you to get out. And obviously, as long as you listen to the lifeguards, you're going to be okay. But if you keep doing it, and lifeguards have to keep telling you, then they could actually ticket you for it. So don't be dumb. Of course, there's purple flags too. Generally, that's for jellyfish. We've seen in the last couple of weeks it can also be for sharks. And we've still got purple flags at some of our local beaches flying. But the main thing is the double red flag. Stay out of the water, please. We've already had numerous water rescues. We've had a fatality down in Gulf Shores near the Pink Pony. Let's not keep that up, okay? Because this will continue all week long. We have a high surf advisory in place, all of our beaches. So it's going to continue to be very, very rough. So, I mean, it is what it is. I know if you're on vacation down there, sorry, 5 to 7 foot waves, you can't swim in it. The Gulf of Mexico, this is what I always try to tell people who are visiting, because, a lot of them come from Atlanta or Birmingham, places up to the north like that. And they're used to swimming in a lake. They're used to swimming in a pool. The Gulf of Mexico is not a lake. It is not a pool. It is far more dangerous than that. And especially on days like this and the days to come, it's going to be nasty. I know if you got that vacation, you spent those $1,000 rent that condo, I get it. But those condos have pools too. Please stick to the pools. Rain-wise, we do have a few little showers popping up here and there. This is about what I expected for today. Isolated to spotty stuff. So like I said, we're not getting direct impacts from that tropical weather, so we're just not going to get a whole lot of rain next few days. Just spotty stuff here and there. Temperature-wise, it's pretty hot and pretty humid in the upper 80s, low 90s. Heat index values mid to upper 90s right now. Next several hours, you can see it's going to stay cloudy, small rain chances, temperatures upper 80s, low 90s, falling into the mid 80s as we head into the evening hours. Here's a look ahead tomorrow to your Wednesday. Should be pretty good out there. We're looking at temperatures 70s in the morning, up mid 80s by lunchtime, and we'll top out in the upper 80s, maybe around 90 in the afternoon. Cloudy skies once again, so having a hard time shaking the clouds. That's been kind of the bummer thing with all this. But, you know, that keeps it from being horrendously hot. Here's your next 5 days. So this takes us right on through the weekend. And look at the rain chances, 20 or 30%. That's isolated to spotty. So that means no direct impacts from any of these tropical systems for us this week. We're just not there. We're not there, missing us. Of course, the indirect impact is once again down at our beaches with the rip currents. And this is the part that worries me, because in most days the weather at the beach will actually be pretty nice, where you can get out of the beach, go lay out, or go for a walk, or go hang out, throw the football. The weather will be great for that, but it just won't be great for getting in the water, okay? So that's the part that worries me. It'd be better if it was just pouring, because that way then people wouldn't get in the water anyway, or wouldn't go to the beach anyway. But when the weather's going to be fairly nice, and it's going to be hot. You see Friday, Saturday, and Sunday almost the mid-90s. Folks are going to want to cool off, but I'm telling you not to do it, okay? Please. You'll end up on the news. End up ruining your vacation in the worst possible way. So let's not do it. That's how it looks the next 5 days. I hope if you have yourself a great day. Once again, thank you so much for joining us here on Fox 10. We always appreciate it. I'm meteorologist Matt Barrentine. We'll be on 3, 4, and 5 as well. Catch you later. Bye now.